This episode's guest is hip-hop artist Fila Iniko. I met Fila when I was doing a comedy and hip-hop show in Mesa, Arizona, and he was one of the hip-hop artists on the show. And while I was doing my set, he was sitting in the front, and he had a injured leg with crutches, and he was an easy target to pick on. I've been following him ever since, and he's been following me, and you can tell he's just a very interesting individual, very outspoken, and thought it'd be interesting to have him on, and it definitely was. Please subscribe to the Funny Truth podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts, and make sure you leave a review. That lets me know what I can do to continue to make the show better. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. I'm Adam J, and this is the Funny Truth podcast.
That is the funny truth.
Hip-hop artists, when did you start getting into it? You started in California, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where I was born, where I was raised.
And what got you into it? Like, I'm gonna do hip hop. I'm gonna do music. What was it?
So what got me into music, of course, was being around it.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like my moms and peers, listening to certain artists. You know what I'm saying? Certain artists saying certain things. You know, you just get exposed to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted attention as a kid.
Sure.
So I wanted to figure out, how to get that attention, and I saw that music got people's attention.
Yep.
And I happened to kind of naturally be moving towards music, and so it kind of just became a one thing after the other. You know what I mean? Like you get exposed to something, and you get interested in it, and then you follow it.
Yeah. So, I have my writing process for when I do comedy. What's a writing process like for someone in your shoes? Just walk me through how that works.
So everybody's writing process.
It's true. Everybody's different.
It's really different.
Yeah.
And even my writing process is different.
Yeah.
I go through it different angles, different ways,
Sure.
but I try not to rush it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't like to rush the music. I mean, there's times where a certain song or certain something might be demanded, and you might have to go work accordingly. But I like to go through shit first.
Yeah.
And then be able to create based on what I went through.
So you want
Life events, really.
You want it to be
life events. You know what I'm saying?
authentic.
I want to be authentic. I
Sure.
want to be authentic because a lot of artists, and it's kind of like basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like when you first get into the league, it's about the getting the accolades and the MVP and scoring titles and so on and so forth. Once you get it,
Different things mean
then it becomes like, it's about a championship. It's about taking your time throughout the season, resting, you know what I'm saying? Like certain things, you know what I'm saying? So as an artist, at first it was always about just writing all the time, every day.
Yep.
And then it just, as you mature and evolve, it just becomes a thing where you're like, no, whatever it is that I write has to be of quality, well thought,
Sure.
well put together, you know what I'm saying? It's just a real thought process.
Sure. It's a little different with comedy and music, right? Because comedy, started out very similar, writing all the time. I still try and keep that habit, but don't do it as much as I used to because I got other shit to focus on now. But you go and you try it at an open mic or somewhere, and you have to test it because you think something's fucking hilarious, and you go up there and you do it, and you're like, why did I think that was funny, bro? Yeah. I don't know why. And then something that you didn't think was that funny, but for some reason you wrote it down, it crushes. You're like, go figure. And then you work on polishing that, or you never throw stuff away, but you're always, I believe you should be writing so much that you're not stuck on one thing. I don't know if it's the same with what you do, but music, you don't have to put it out to anybody until you feel like it's done. And then one thing I would say about music, 'cause I have friends who've been hip hop artists or other music genres, and there's a biasness that comes into when you be like, hey, listen to this, does it sound good? And it's if they're your friend, I feel like you want me to be more critical.
Yeah.
And then it's better to almost just put the music on in front of strangers, or just if they know you, they know you, but in front of people, and just hear if they don't say anything, it's probably okay. If they're like,
get that guy like, what the fuck is this? This shit is-
exactly.
turn that trash ass shit off.
Yeah.
Yeah, turn it off. Yeah, turn that shit off. Yeah, it's trash.
I don't even know why I'm playing that song.
I don't even know why I'm playing this shit, man.
Like when I did my, I used to do a podcast like to myself. It was just like me, and I would review books. I would read it, and I would do a full book review. And I used to drive Lyft and Uber, and I would just put it on while people were in the car. And they're like, "Oh, have you read this book?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, is it good?" just to see like what their feedback was on what I was saying.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best way with music would be to test it. I guess would be to like put it in front of people who don't know who the musician is, and not be like, "Hey, listen to this. Is this good?" Just put it on.
Yeah. Well.
What's that like? What's that testing process like? With like, when do you know like, okay, this is a song?
It's tough, man, because naturally as humans, people don't want to be rude. You know what I mean? People don't want to be messed up. So I think they always go with the first instinct to be nice.
Most people do, yeah. Because I'll see people that.
So it's hard to get the critique that you really need because people are just.
Yeah. Well,
it can go either way too. I feel like because then you get people that are like,
well, that's
why I don't really want to tell them it's good. You know.
Well, for one, you're gonna get a lot less people because it's not easy.
Yeah.
Doing what you do. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy doing comedy. It's not easy acting. It's not easy doing music. It's not easy.
It's easy to do. It's not easy to be good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's not easy to be good. So.
Like
it's not easy to be smart.
Yeah. No.
So you're not gonna find a lot of people that are smart.
Yeah.
So it's just like music. It's hard to find people that are, because even if you're around somebody, they might not give you the professional critique that you actually need as to why it doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they just don't. I just don't sound good. But you don't understand the you know what I'm saying, the details of the craft to really give me the critique that I need as far as why it doesn't sound good.
I think it's a little bit of both. Like you need the professional side, like you know, like you know more about sound. Gatsby knows a lot more about sound engineering and things like that. Like you're hearing things that you don't know that it's there unless you really are in it. But then there's also like the people who actually maybe buy music or listen, like myself. Like I don't know shit about music, but like that's my critique to like any. Like my friend, when he would put some music on, he's like, what do you think? I was like, trying to be as honest as I could without, I was like, if you put this on, or like if I was on Spotify and this came up next, I would have changed it immediately. Like that was the best feedback I could give him. Like I would have just been like, next.
Yeah, the problem is people think it's easy.
Sure.
That's the problem. They think it's just so easy to just make music.
Well, I think with hip hop, you would think that because like you don't necessarily need to be a singer, like you don't need like great vocals necessarily, or you know there's so much technology that you could audio engineer it enough to make it sound good.
No, it's still not easy to.
Sure, but that's a perception that I think
that's
people
the perception is it's easy to do music. It's not easy to do music. It's really, really difficult to do music.
Yeah,
and people think that people are just popping up, being famous. Like people don't understand. Like there's a lot of like it's really difficult to make it.
You say it's like oversaturated right now too, because everybody's kind of trying to do it. We talked.
Everybody. Yeah, the fact that everybody's trying. The access is what it is the access to be able to do it.
Yeah,
is a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, if you wanted to be an artist, you had to. It was really difficult to get into a studio.
You got to put up some bread.
Bread and just certain people you got to know. Like it's just too much. You just like I'm just gonna go play basketball. I'm gonna go play basketball. It's too much. But now you can just record in your room, in your living room or wherever. So it's a lot.
Made it easily accessible. Like you can get mics, like that you didn't have access to before. You can build your home studio. They have packages now, on Amazon that you can get.
It makes me think of you ever seen Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash movie?
Yeah.
When like he got to go to the studio and put up the money, and all that. Versus now, there's SoundCloud. It's the same with any like comedy too. You can, or like being an author too. There's Amazon where you can just put a book out, whatever. It's like a good thing in the sense that everyone has access to it, and you don't need to like necessarily suck someone's dick or do some shit you don't want to do. You don't got to pull a P Diddy. You don't got to pull a P Diddy to get on where you need to get on. But that also means it's very flooded and saturated with everybody trying to do this.
Yeah, man, it's definitely oversaturated, and people are just easily gullible to just believing that.
Well, dude, I mean, I think
believing certain people make it into the industry by working hard. A lot of these people have industry ties. Or a plant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker, like, oh, that's a cute face. Just give her a writer.
We
can make the industry plenty of money.
So it's more about what's marketable.
It's always about what's marketable.
Like that lady who was on, I don't know if it's America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent, Susan Boyle, you know what I'm talking about?
But it's not also about just what's marketable. It's about what they've decided to make marketable. Mm-hmm. And they've decided to make things marketable that kill the masses and the majority.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's
absolutely.
The goal is, because if they want it, they can make some money off of healthy moral decisions. There are ways to make money.
Yeah.
Off the opposite way of the way, you know what I'm saying, society makes money, but people wouldn't die that way. You know what I'm saying? And there would be more people successful that way.
Well, yeah, it definitely creates this culture of alienation. I think I was just watching a comedian talk about this on his podcast where he was talking about like how rappers suck. Like they walk around with this like ones that would like be at his shows, like they walk around with a shitty attitude, and all they talk about is I make this amount of money. They're not like in the mood to joke around at all. They're just kind of uptight.
A lot of the rappers suck.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
A lot of rapper probably.
Oh, dude, you can. That's not hard to tell though. Like when you listen to mainstream, like I'm like, you listen to what's on the radio. You're like, this is good. You know, like
but even what's on the radio is still good and marketable.
Sure.
Like it was put together like.
Because people can sing along to it.
Yeah, you know, there's little things like you can get lucky.
Yeah.
You can get lucky with the song and a record. Like those things happen.
Do you think that's what happens to a lot of the one-hit wonders? Is like they do have something that pops.
Yeah.
And then they see the side of the industry that you don't want to see, and they're like, I'm good.
Well, it's not that they don't see it. Is they get shoved into it by contracts.
Sure.
And
dude.
And shit, you know what I'm saying?
The whole thing with Live
right
Nation. Thing with Live Nation that's happening. The lawsuit with them.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
I was watching some TikTok or something about a musician where he's like, he was signed by Live Nation, and he's like, I have to like, yeah, it's $1 million, but like they front you this amount of money, and then you're not making any money off of all you're making money off of is ticket sales, and like no concessions, nothing. He's like, I have to sell out every single venue I go to just to pay them back, and then they'll do something like. Flash sale, $10 tickets. And so now he's not even making a profit on his tickets. But he's like tied into this contract with them and like, oh, you owe us money. So they can't even stop touring if they wanted to because they have to continue.
They got to make that, they got to recoup.
Yeah, and so.
They got to recoup.
So Live Nation and Ticketmaster basically have a monopoly on ticket sales everywhere. So I think
that's crazy.
And so there's a huge lawsuit right now on them, and that's why now I think a lot of artists are going towards the independent route, no label, because of those reasons. But a lot of people that don't know shit would just sign it.
And don't know labels want them.
Pretty much.
Nobody wants you.
Yeah, well, sure. There's a lot of that, but the ones that are good enough or enough to where they're not going to read the contract, they just want to be famous. They're not thinking about. All they see is the dollar signs, but they don't really know what it's gonna entail, and so
and they know which ones those are. Yeah, they know the weak. They always know the weak ones. You know what I'm saying? They always make it. You ever watch? Excuse me. You ever watch like the Discovery Channel? You watch a lion when they attack like the herd of gazelles or the zebras and shit like that. It looks chaotic. Mm-hmm. It looked like shit ain't organized.
Yeah, they're picking.
It looked like it just.
They're picking the one that.
They already know which one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna waste my time on a strong fucking gazelle. Like,
yeah.
There's a chance and if I don't get them, I probably won't eat for like a week or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and so that's the music labels.
That's the record labels. They know who's weak. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have experience, if you're young.
Oh yeah.
That's a major one. You're young, we know you're gonna develop vices. That's going to get you in trouble. That's going to put you in bad situations. It's going to fuck your contract up. But we made all the money that we needed
and they own
all
the music.
out of you. Yeah, and we own the music.
That's what they're talking about.
We throw you on the show. We don't want you to put nothing else out.
Oh, that's what they're talking about with all the SoundCloud rappers at one point when they're all dying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they're like, they set it up that way. They picked the ones that they knew were involved in street activity. They're like, oh, we got the single out of you already. We got your catalog. It's like, if you die, that ain't on us.
It's no coincidence that record labels have stakes in private prisons.
Oh,
it's
well,
it's not a coincidence.
You've seen that video, right? Or the Crazy Bone's talking about that?
No.
Oh, Crazy Bone from Bone Thugs?
Yeah.
He was talking about, it's this great interview. I don't know what radio it was on or who was interviewing him, but it's like old. But he was talking about when hip hop was on the rise. They had this like secret meeting, almost like how they did for the Federal Reserve, Jekyll Island type meeting.
Jekyll Island type shit.
And they had all the hip hop people in there, and he's like, there was all these other people there that like nobody had ever seen before. And before the meeting, they handed out an NDA to everybody, and they're like, before anything, you need to make sure that this is signed. And if you don't like it, you can leave. And like only a couple people left, but everyone else signed it. And it was basically like, congratulations on, hip hop music and what you guys have done to pioneer this, blah, blah, blah. What your labels have done is invested in the private prison system, and we're going to use your music to fuel like influence to help fill up those prisons. And everyone's like, what the fuck? But you can see it now with the music that's out now. It's like there's nothing that promotes.
I think it's a mixture of agenda and just smart business moves on their end.
Yeah.
Like how like people have this thing in their mind that crack was put into our community so that it can disadvantage the people in the community. And in reality, the community was just a smart move to sell the crack. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to sell, you know what I'm saying? Because for one, we're the ones the community's the one that created the crack.
So you're saying like it wasn't as multi-layered as people thought it was?
I don't
it just made sense.
It's just moves that make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like the people who buy this, because again, like I said, like, well, the community has created the chemical crack rock version of it. You know what I'm saying? Like just some smart motherfuckers cooked up some shit, found another way to make it cheaper to be able to make money off of it. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like the government created crack. It was just...
It was just they saw crack and they're like, "Wow, we can make money."
The government was trying to keep Russia from taking over Nicaragua, and they had to do that by allowing the Nicaraguans to sell drugs into the country. You know what I'm saying? And the place to sell drugs to is where? The poor class communities that buy it because they're trying to escape the poor reality that they live in.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I think that's with almost any business. Like people think that it's all this evil stuff, but a lot of it's just business, and then it leads to
it's business from the evil that laid the foundation. You know what I'm saying? Like you create a foundation where big business gets you somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's gonna screw you, but when you are one of the big business people, it's in your benefit now.
When you get to a certain level of money, it's just like the evil just comes with it.
Yeah,
like you don't make like millions of dollars doing good deeds.
People, it's unnecessary to have $1 billion. Like it's really, so unnecessary to have.
So
that.
yeah,
for what?
That's an evil amount of money to have.
For what? You all the things that you want to do in your life, you can still do, and you still won't need $1 billion.
Exactly.
To do it. It's all just greed. That's all it is. Everything is ran on greed.
Like you can still order everything you want off the menu, at like $1 million. Like
but you still want to have $1 billion. So what?
So
the future you can.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's crazy though.
It's a society that people created in America, and then big business puts it out there for you to chase.
Oh, dude, it's really interesting. Like when you go to you want to watch the boring version of it. So my favorite documentary ever called The Century of the Self. You ever seen that one?
No.
It's Sigmund Freud's nephew. He basically takes all his teachings from his uncle and implements them into 1900s America on like how to. They basically learn like, oh, people are these deep down, we're civilized, but we're really these like aggressive, sexual creatures that we're only in a civilization so we can survive, like for our safety, but we still have these deep down like urges and desires, and like how do we pull those out of people? And they use that. They're like, first it was for war, like using propaganda for war, and they're like, how do we do it for peacetime? And so he just like figured out how to trigger people's needs. Like, you don't buy something because you need it. You buy something because you want to have it. Or
it's like the origins of propaganda, basically.
Yeah, and he says it. He's like, we couldn't call it propaganda because the Nazis took that, so we called it public relations. And so you see how shit's set up, like, like dumb shit too, like, oh, you don't drive a stick, you must be a female, like just dumb shit like that. That makes no sense.
Dumb stigmas.
But that's.
But these are the stigmas that have built our culture. You know what I'm saying? The values.
When a lot of like buying consumer goods is really targeted at women, but so guys are gonna change what they need to do to get these women, and so you see why in rap music too, it's all about the shit that's not important. Driving a foreign, having all these name brand stuff that's not an asset, it's a liability.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I think a lot of people like Nipsey Hussle. I didn't even really start listening to his music till after he died, but I knew people who really liked him.
Yeah, same here. But I respected him. I respected who he was as a person.
Yeah,
he made a reputation for being a real dude.
Well, yeah, he was spitting out the knowledge that you're like. One of my teammates in college was said one of the funniest things to me, but I was like, it really stuck with me. He's like, bro, white people put all their information in books. I was like, oh, so Nipsey Hussle was really putting out that information that like you would read in like these wealth books and shit. Because I'm watching videos of him now, and I'm like, oh, he's talking about real estate. He's talking about compound interest. He's talking about all these things that anybody who wants to get into wealth would know and talk about. And unfortunately, yeah, he was. It always seems like, especially in the black community, anybody who comes out with this message that's a little bit different, they always seem to end up dead.
Well, we live in a community, an environment, a society where that risk is very high.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like the system developed our mind. So though you're making these activism steps, you're still subject to to parts of your mindset that the system developed. So you're still in a gang banging environment. You're still associating yourself with certain, so on and so forth, because the system puts you in that position. And so there's a real strong chance you don't make it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like,
that's why Keith said he had to get out of Chicago. He was like, it's just.
Yeah, a lot of rappers end up dying in their hometown. Where like, and I wouldn't call myself a rapper, people that are after me, but even like getting out of my hometown was super important, because a lot of people there that were my closest friends talked the most shit to me, put me down. Family will put you down. You gotta get out of wherever you're from, I think, a lot of times, because there's something psychological about people want to remember you when they had power over you. So like that's why family will talk to you like, I've been doing music this long. Like people will talk to you like they did before you did music, and they want to call you by your name and treat you like this isn't a part of you that's, when are you gonna get a real job? When are you gonna finally grow up? And you're like, yeah, but that's
what they say though. It's like you're not, and I've seen it especially with hip hop, in music especially, is that they don't like you in your hometown almost. They don't want to support you. But a lot of people talk about that in Phoenix though. Well,
it's not that they don't want to support you. It's just that there's a sense of entitlement.
Oh, like you owe me something?
That, and we know you. Kind of like Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
Jesus, you Joseph's son. Right?
I've been seeing you.
They know you as Jesus. Yeah. We know you as little JJ. You know what I'm saying? Little JJ that used to run around here butt naked. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's the thing. People want to know you for your lowest moments, almost.
Where they have more power over you, and then they see you doing well, and they're like, fuck that.
I don't think it's that deep. I don't think it's that deep.
You don't think so?
I think that as much as I want to feel like, and I have felt like, as much as I want to feel like people don't support me because they know me, and it's just the simple fact that they feel like they already supported you being a part of the story. You know what I'm saying? Like already, the entitlement.
Yeah.
That they feel like
it's like they already played the role of supporting you by being your friend,
just being a part of it.
Yeah,
just there
or just
somewhere.
being around.
Yeah, just
witnessing
being around. Yeah, so
witness.
And then if you do end up blowing up, making a lot of money, they're like, remember when, you know? And
I don't think it's ill intended.
No, I think
it's natural human nature.
It's natural, just subconscious, and like I said, it's from how the system developed our mind. It has a lot.
Sure.
The system has a lot to do with how our mind is developed.
I think it was you. I was watching one of your clips where you were talking about people are like always like, well, what about black on black crime? And you're like, well, every other like race or whatever, like when they immigrated here, they still had their culture, like in their family and their sense of like who they were. Whereas you're saying like black people, you know, that's interesting, right?
We didn't immigrate here.
Right, most didn't. I saw another good TikTok on it. It was like some black dude talking. He was like talking about people from Africa who are like, you know, just like any other country, we're like merchants and traders. And he's like, how do you think Rome built itself back up again? Like there were black people in every country, like still doing business.
Yeah, man. There's always been the Moors. The Moors have always kind of been around. Like if you look at Russian literature. A black man actually started the Russian language,
really?
Russian literature. The Moors were helping some of the Europeans during the Dark Ages when they would like have pigs and all kind of motherfuckers shit in their fucking houses and just didn't take showers and shit like that.
Like how the plague.
The Moors would show them like, yo, keep your fucking farm animals outside of your house, or you know,
or don't throw shit in the streets.
Use toilet paper or some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
like,
they would like literally dump shit like out of their fucking windows into the fucking street.
They did in America.
See, a lot of people, and this is not just with black people, there are people in every culture that want to have a sense of superiority.
Of course.
They want to feel like we the race.
Yeah.
You know, we the ones that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what people don't understand is like they try to make things a black and white thing, and like the reality is like, bro, you're not white.
Well, that's
you're a light ass brown.
Right.
We're all brown people. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
it's another, I think, concept also used like for power to make the poor people fight amongst each other, right?
That as well, the divide and conquer, because they use that, religion, politics.
Yeah, before race, the big thing was religion. You know, like religion used to be like they used to be the government.
Yeah,
we even in the U.S. where it was like separation, like that was a big thing why people came here. They still have witch trials. They still like and religion still plays a huge part. Religion, that was my last college I went to was a religious school, and I never really been religious. I wasn't raised in a church or anything. Doesn't mean I don't believe in God. It just wasn't like a big part of my upbringing. But then like hearing about it and shit, it's like, oh, that's because religion's more than whatever God you. It's really your set of principles and what you like, why you would say this is a crime and this isn't, or why this is wrong and it's right. Usually comes from your religion. That's what I think. And so you're like, it was like religion and conflict is so intertwined that it will never be separated. Because like a lot of wars and stuff is based on people's religion, even like politics. You know, like stuff that can't be decided by facts or numbers is like abortion. It's like people are either like super fucking against it or super for it for the most part. Yeah, and they'll never agree on it, and so eventually that comes to a head where that impacts my beliefs and impacts your beliefs, that the only way to do this is one of us has to die. Somebody gotta die. Somebody gotta go. You're like, the baby's already dying. And they're like, it's just a clump of cells, you know?
Yeah, it's just the other side of things is always just a part of life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? some of the things that people don't like are the things what makes life what life is. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be. A lot of humans spend their lives chasing after pleasure and running away from pain. And the reality is neither of them they coexist.
Well, that's why
you can have one without the
other. That's why the pharmaceutical market has made the biggest killing. It's like and like our whole medical system, as I'm like, people are so mad about like getting free healthcare or not, but I'm like, what kind of healthcare are we really getting though? Because like even if you have insurance, it doesn't ever cover like the natural paths or like
big pharma has bought all of the fucking healthcare systems.
Yeah, they bought the education system
everything.
too.
Yeah, so it's like they do all of they got all kind of shit that they do. You know what I'm saying? There's so much shit that you just and everybody's saying it. Yep. So it's like when everybody's saying it's like, what the fuck do we do?
Like what do we what are we talking about?
But
we all know
we obviously know
it's that,
come on, man. These guys dying from Boeing, like the whole Boeing shit, like
it's so weird how everything
and it's in our face.
It's so normal now though.
Right? It's just like
it's like, oh yeah, they killed that guy. Sick. It's like what? Like if you really sat back, like took yourself out of everything, you're like, wait, this is plane company just
even if you don't know what's going on, you'd be like, bruh, like that is real fishy as fuck.
Yeah,
like,
that's like even.
But what are you gonna individually do about it?
Not a damn thing.
Well, I think the biggest thing you can do is like how and where you spend your money, because like if
the biggest thing you could do is educate yourself.
Well, educate,
that's
but then
the most important thing you can do is to educate yourself and educate the people around you.
And that's like it's like the Bible thing. The faith without works is dead. So it's like, yeah, you got to read first to know what's going on. But then you're like, well, if we just stop paying for this company's shit, or we just stop paying, for taxes, then they wouldn't be able to be funded. And it's really where you choose to spend your money.
There's a lot of human beings, though. That's the thing. There's a lot of human beings. Sure. So you're dealing with a lot of totally too many different ways of thinking.
That's what that.
But under the same system.
That's what that's what the Century of the Self documentary is so much about, because like it talks about the evolution of like people got savvy to what the marketers were trying to do to them, so they kept having to readjust. And it's like the next thing was, let's appeal to the individual self and like how you want to be perceived, and let's go to your ego. And then they got the science and numbers to break it down, because we're not that special. There's about 24 different personality types, characters, and we just know what these people want. And now it's to the point, now we're on social media, it's like the ads that you see are the ads that you would want to see. Anything that you're talking about, anytime I've been into something business related, or like I need to get this, or I need to learn how to do this, all of a sudden I'm getting ads on coaching courses, master classes on how to do this. It's whatever I'm interested in at this time.
America is built on a deck of cards.
Oh, for sure.
So that's why there's so many instances where we about to shut the fuck down. Like it's about to go down. Like the 2008 shit. Like they were like, yo, we need to get these motherfucking companies money, give them whatever money they need to get their businesses back in order before shit hits the fan. Like, whatever money you need, we'll bail you out. We got you.
So that's why it's dumb when people who are they're gonna be on the conservative side. They're like, they start calling people a communist or something, but you're like, we're not capitalists, bro. We bailed out like 8 of the biggest companies, or however many of the biggest companies.
Man, I don't know why they make the word communist such a bad fucking word, man. It's
marketing.
I agree.
Marketing.
Yeah, it's so evil.
It's marketing. It's just
communism is so evil, but it's like, yo, communism is for the people. Like,
then correct me if I'm wrong, but like the guy who wrote the book on it, his whole thing was that we should be capitalists so everyone can figure out what they're good at, and then you become communist. So like everybody does what they're good at and what they like to do, and then they're the best at it, and that way everyone's doing. Because how many people are so mad? Like the people who, I think I was talking about this with Brad on one of the episodes, was the people who talk shit in like the comments and stuff and say mean things on my post or something, or any artist post, is like people who at one point probably wanted to be an artist or something, and they were just like, I'm too scared, and they went off and got a job. But really, like, nobody that works at these big jobs loves their job.
It's the simple fact that I can spend money in my community and it goes somewhere else out of my community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the like a centralized banking system, this whole oppressive system, like the labor, like our country was built by wealthy people. You know what I'm saying? In the benefit for anybody who is that has wealth.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of what's going on is really just like capitalism. I don't know, capitalism.
It's not real capitalism, because the real capitalism, if the companies failed, they don't get bailed out. Like, you lost, it's over. So true capitalists would say
I'd say probably neo-capitalism.
Yeah, it's not. It's right.
It's a newer
Once you get to a certain point, you're not allowed to fail.
Yeah. Like, oh, we're Methodist Christians. We're not. You know?
Well, see, here's the thing though. Like, as far as like companies crashing and shit like that, like when we talk about wealthy people have a misunderstanding of who the wealthy people are. Like, people think Oprah's wealthy. People think Dr. Dre or Jay-Z or Kanye West.
Who had that bit?
Wealthy.
He goes, I live next to a Hall of Fame NBA player, and other than that, it's a dentist. But all the black people on my street they're the best at what they do. But it's just because they're celebrities, we think, oh, that's wealth. But it's like, no.
Yeah.
These guys live next to dentists.
Yo, people with wealth don't live next to nobody.
Yeah.
They're and you don't know their name. They're not in.
You don't know their names.
You don't
and you
know
don't see
them.
them.
There's internet blocks on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you really think like you just search my name?
So
like,
what you're saying is
you're not gonna find them on a Forbes list.
Yeah.
What you're saying is they're lizards.
All I'm saying is like there are things that we just don't know. Like wealth is like think about if you were somebody who struck oil or any natural resource and you were able to capitalize on it, meaning put a cap and basically profit off of this natural resource. Since the beginning, let's say since the beginning of this country.
And you cultivate an attitude that I'm better than you.
Right, and think about you're finding this natural resource during a time that the country don't even know what it is. So all the money, you're a billionaire during a time that a country ain't even like really built up yet.
Yeah.
So think about how many ties you and your family are gonna have.
So that's what
since the 17 or 1600s.
That's what that Century of the Self documentary talks about. Is they're like, the people are too dumb for a true democracy, and so it was like the wealthy elites that got together, and they're like, we have to make sure. Right? Do
you think I think who was it, the Rockefellers for the oil?
Yeah, Rockefellers.
Do you think the only thing they got was they were like, we're just gonna just focus on?
No, they crushed.
They are in whatever investment, whatever it is, they are in every single thing.
You bring up a good point.
In the world,
I saw a TikTok that was like talking about these companies that are like the Ball mason jars, like that company Ball, and a couple other ones. They've all gotten into the military game, like making weapons and shit. Like, because you're like, wow, what's gonna make money in any time? War. You know, so like a lot of these companies, they even like sold their, like, they're like, keep the brand, because that's what happens in corporation. Like, keep the brand, but they sold Ball jars to another company, but they got into like making like missiles and like guns and shit. Like, that was, and it wasn't just them, but it was a bunch of these other companies that are like, you think they do this, but where they make the money is here.
Look, I feel like America is the modern day Roman Empire.
For sure. Oh, for sure. Have you been to Vegas?
It is on its way. Like, we're a young ass country compared to all the other nations.
We haven't figured out what we don't know yet.
Yo, the revolution is on its way. It's just gonna be a question of, will the masses be in a position, educational wise, to be able to create a system that works? You know what I'm saying? Because for one, like, you can't get away with continuing to raise the price. And because the middle class is disappearing before our eyes. Like, it's damn near almost gone.
Well, it showed that one of the big things, that's what happened in Germany, Nazi Germany. Like their inflation went insane. And then like before the wars and stuff, war is always what brings people back.
My point was, I was gonna get to that point, that's what's gonna happen. Our government is going to find a way.
So what they say that's gonna be is the next one's gonna be intergalactic, because we know as humans, it's just like how they got the Bloods and Crips, like Blood and Crip members to work together. It was like, how do you make them work together? Give them a common goal and make them achieve it together, like a basketball team or anything.
It's a common struggle.
So bring humans together
struggle
towards an enemy. They're gonna make it. They said intergalactic. So like we're against aliens now.
You ever heard of what the fuck was that damn prison called?
Guantanamo
Attica.
Bay. Oh, Attica.
Yeah.
Attica.
Where at?
Yeah.
Attica was upstate New York.
Okay.
Attica was a prison upstate New York, 1972. They had a riot, and that's like all the movies you see
Didn't
movies.
they run it? Like they ran it for like a set
all the
amount of
movies
time.
that you be seeing where the prisoners run the prison is based on what they did. And what happened was their environment in that prison was so fucking horrible. Like they'd get like one little sheet of toilet paper a month, barely showers, fucking letters would be thrown away or bleached out or blotted out or whatever the case may be. There was so many horrible conditions, and it was being done to not only the black people, but it was just being done to just the prisoners in general. That it got so bad that it didn't matter whether you was black, white. We got a comment like, bro, we can't wipe our ass. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. At this point,
differences aside
for the sake of our humanity, we're gonna put that shit to the side. And I guarantee you, if you was a racist then, when you got out of that, you probably was like, man, black people ain't too bad because they was all kicking it, and you know what I'm saying?
I mean, their own little system.
Well, so I think
it ended really horrible. But the point I'm trying to make is that it doesn't hurt. Like right now, it doesn't hurt enough yet. You know what I'm saying? Middle class don't hurt enough yet. They still got a nice little house, dog, big ass monster truck in the driveway. Like it's not that bad yet. You know what I'm saying? But once it gets to a point where that depression is for real,
it's up to the people at the top to figure out how to make us fight with each other. Because I feel like I didn't know that story about the prison thing, but I feel like now the stereotype on prison is that it is very racially divided, and they're like, we got to bring racism back, guys.
Yeah, they run America like a prison.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They keep you divided. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They divide you by whether it's religion,
it's almost
politics.
predictable. I think when especially like black versus white comes out, it's always during election year. It's always something with the police. It's like it's like predictable now. Like 20. Like I've been putting it together. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, it's been a while.
20.
Since I've seen.
It's coming. I believe it's coming, dude.
It's coming. That's just crazy that it's coming. I feel like it is.
Well, I'll tell you this though. They're like, we're getting too predictable. They're like anti-Semitism. Give it a shot, dude. Like you never thought that would ever come back.
Anti-Semitism, yo.
That's come back. That's come back hard, dude.
It's hardcore, man.
But that's biblical.
It's not even coming back. It's always been around.
Well, it's always been there, but like it's becoming okay again. Like where it was like for a long time, it's like you can't say anything.
I don't know, man. It's a little bit too blatant though, because you don't want to be so blatant and out there that they figure it out. Because now we're all like, this is a little too much now. Like, you're starting to get that vibe where you're like, people are equally like, it's a little extra with that one. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, and I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say too much. Well, I don't want to.
No, I think, but it just depends where you're at too. Like, if you're living in a city or a culture that's like we can all agree to protest this and we all feel comfortable enough. Okay, cool. So like colleges where you see the most liberal shit. I was like, it's so funny too because I feel like that young college. Like at one point I was kind of like that too. Like little people at that age group have this activism side in them that when you get to my age, I'm 30. I don't know how old you are, but I'm like, I don't got the energy to do that. I hope you guys are protesting the right things. But where the change is being made or thought process, it's like the colleges are like, you can openly be
Colleges have always been.
You can be anti-Semitic, which is crazy.
Always.
It's just like you're like, I didn't see that one coming back. I didn't see the ban on abortions coming back, and I didn't see anti-Semitism coming back, dude. If you did a 2-leg parlay on that, dude, I would have put everything on police brutality. Is that every election year, dude? We're waiting for the big one.
It's always something, but again, like companies big business don't care about none of that shit. They're gonna finance both sides.
Right. Well, yeah. That's
whatever
smart.
makes them more money at the time.
If hanging black people was popular, they'd be selling Nike ropes.
They'd be like,
Nike ropes is crazy.
They'd have a rapper talking about it.
Yeah, like hang a nigga the other day, some shit like that. Like I don't know, it'd be some crazy
wild
shit.
Bring the hard R
shit
back, dude.
You can't like with the whole like with the whole Jewish community. Like you can't be mad at the way they rally against anybody who got something bad to say about them. Like if you say something bad, if your culture could rally the same way, I'm sure you probably would want it. I think like if I would want my people to rally up against some shit.
If we're that organized, it's like, man, might as well.
But like every group of people, there's always people that feel like they're superior. There's people who feel like they want to be, they want to take control. You know what I'm saying? Like Jewish people aren't bad people, but they happen. Look, like Jewish people happen to go through what they went through.
Well,
during a very modern time where that shit is no.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, had that shit happened with the whole Holocaust shit, had that happened in like the 1400s,
what did?
Nobody would like.
The Jew, like it's biblical. Like the Jews have always been that group that's outcasted. Like they've always been.
But what I'm saying is like the world don't really look at it like at the time they didn't look at it like, yo, we need to fight for them because it's wrong. Like otherwise they would have did that with slavery. They'd have been like, that shit fucked up. We need to.
It's like, you guys seeing this?
Yeah. So as time persisted, we're starting to see like, oh, this shit is fucked. We're evolving mentally to know what's right and what's wrong more and more.
And it's just more just having the scope on this at all times.
When I think.
So when the Jewish people went through what they went through with the Holocaust, it was like the world was like, yo, that's like we need to get behind. We need to save them.
But I've
like,
seen,
you know what I'm saying? Because that was some fucked up shit that they was going through. And so when they came to America, you know what I'm saying? Hey, what you need? We got you. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a point in time where even Jewish people, even back then, was like people didn't fuck with Jewish people.
I'm saying it's biblical. Like, it's always been a thing. It's all like since the beginning. It's always been the Jewish people. Like they had to take back their holy land. So if you're biblical looking at it, you're like, oh, Israel's their holy land. That's their whole thing. But that's what their whole basis of their beliefs is based on.
Well, I mean, yeah, that shit goes back to fucking Philistines.
Yeah,
you know
you can't overlook
Palestinian Philistines.
You can't overlook that stuff. Even if you don't believe, even if you're an atheist and you don't believe in anything, like the reason societies a lot of time operate the way they do is based on it's been changed over time, but the fucking foundations of this book or whatever you base your whole how I'm supposed to live my life off of, and so you're trying to fight with that, and also think maybe we're God and there's no God, and so we're the ones in charge of thinking how things are supposed to be. It's always going to end up in some sort of battle. But then there's also, we do know that financially there's motivations for there to be wars at all times and keep shit going.
War is something that the majority of people never want or agree to. It's something that countries as a whole never want. It's always something that a few narrate. Like they have to make something happen or something
that's why
in order for them to they try to do something to try to persuade you that they gotta go to war. That's like America's next thing.
You're talking about propaganda.
Yeah, like America's next thing is because everybody's fucking backing out of the dollar. Like America's in the when it comes to financially, like we're going backwards, even behind Russia. You know what I'm saying? And what's gonna happen is America's gonna try to convince its people we need to go to fucking war. And then once we go to war, it might put things back on an even keel
That's
for us
what I'm saying.
economically. Like,
I'm saying
a little reset.
You remember? That's
like fuck owing the person. We just gonna kill you, right? Like
sort it out.
Yeah, like yo, we owe you what?
It always comes down to that. It's just like,
And
well,
the only reason is
somebody gotta
and
go.
the only reason it's like that is because the position that we have on the globe.
Sure. Well, that's
Like-
I mean that's no different than like World War II. We just sent we killed off a certain percentage of the entire world's like 20% of the world's population died during that war, and it's like,
And
well,
we-
there's that too. We could just do that.
Yeah, so and then it's just like I said, our position on the globe is like perfect.
But we don't-
we are we perfectly set this motherfucker up.
Yeah.
Where we are backed by two big ass oceans. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we know when you coming every single time. You know
I see you,
what I'm saying?
motherfucker.
So we see you, so it's just like we can talk shit. Like you owe us $7 billion trillion. So what?
Come across the street.
Do something about it. Come
Across the street. I bet you won't.
And
We blow you up before you even get here. You know what I'm saying? Because
Bet you
even
won't.
if you get here,
Yeah.
you got to get your shit here.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to get your
You know how
shit
big
here.
the
It's
fucking
like-
ocean is? That's
Bruh.
another
and
thing.
you know that.
And
So
this is a
I need
big-
another. I need
Nobody
another.
knows how big the
And
ocean
look,
is.
it's not even just the ocean. We're a big ass country.
Yeah.
Like we're fucking huge. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I hate when people try to. That's why I hate when people be like, "Oh, the gun violence compared to France." Bro, like
Yeah.
you can compare the gun violence for France to like maybe Rhode Island or something, or like New Jersey.
I never
But
really
you
think
want
about
to,
that.
but you want to compare the gun violence of France to America? Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is
Like, you ever see when they talk about how, like, the world map isn't really, like, the real world map? It's, like, not sized right?
Maybe I don't know.
I've heard that before. It's
I've
like,
heard some things.
Well,
I
yeah,
heard
dude.
some
That's the
things.
thing where you learn. The more you learn, the less you know. You know, like
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know anything. I can't prove that the map is the map. I don't. I
Yeah,
just,
like, what-
And
I
that's
just-
why I love saying all I know is I don't know.
Yeah.
Because even the shit that I'm saying, right, all the information that I have right
Yeah.
now could just be wrong. And
You
I
just
tell
never know.
people just like, if
aliens
if
land tomorrow, and you're like, well, goddamn.
If it makes sense,
They've been here 50 years.
if it makes sense, hey, take it. You know what I'm saying? With the
Absolutely.
information
Yeah.
that I have, if it makes sense,
Well, yeah, that's why. Yeah,
Take it.
you know what you know that you've maybe gone through, but everything else is all from books or something that you're trusting that this is
somebody,
the truth.
yeah, whoever wrote this book, man, I hope they really got the information right. Whoever write a book on me, man, I really hope you get the information right.
Yeah, you have no control over it at that point.
Every good book, every good nonfiction book is trying to sell you something.
What do you
Promise
think about the Bible?
The Bible is it's written, but like we also don't know the translations of it, when it was actually written, who wrote it, who ripped some pages out and said this is the Bible now.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
You know, like
I'm there too, but
I think
I have two sides of it. I have the side like where like I've read so much shit where it's like, yo, like it's a lot of shit that got thrown in here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then there's the side where I've actually studied the Bible. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about years of actually studying it, and it's like the principles and the ideology of some of the things that they teach, the parables, like
Mm-hmm.
that shit is. There's no getting away from like how that book really can teach you about life and love. And
It's one of the most. It's probably the most important piece of literature in Western culture.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why everything is tied to somebody's religion. But when you meet somebody that's like, the Bible, what the fuck is that? I got this piece of information, and then that's what they go off of.
Yeah.
And then we are technically a separation of church and state country, so you can't teach it. Great setup for the devil, dude. Whoa, we can't do this. I saw
Who's the devil?
anything that's bad, what you would consider bad. But I feel like inherently, as people, we
So
usually
do you
know.
think that there is a? Do you believe there is an entity, like
Entity?
an actual devil guy?
I don't.
Right.
I think it's just.
I don't either.
I think that's just how they wanted to conceptualize it.
Yeah, like
You know, like how do you describe that? Because how do you describe God? Because you know,
how you describe God creating the enemy?
yeah, you know what I mean? Like
Created
God had
enemy
ops.
and like, I'm gonna throw him down there to make shit weird for y'all.
Yeah.
Like you gonna believe in God, but I'm gonna put him in there.
I've always
can make it harder for you to believe in God. Like
he's gonna fuck with you.
He's gonna fuck with you.
I'm like,
but
that's
it's up
like,
to you to either.
Yeah.
I always felt like God and the devil. The concept was really like divorced parents. Like you know what I mean? Like most of the time.
I believe there's a creator, because I just don't believe.
But is there a destroyer?
I believe there's a creator, because it's just fucking
Yin and the yang.
fucking shit is just crazy. Life is just fucking crazy.
Life doesn't make any sense.
The way the fucking brain works, like all the details of everything on this earth alone, is fucking crazy. For it to just for me to have a system where I just eat and then digest and then shit.
That's what. I think Cat Williams talked about it on the. It's either Joe Rogan or I think it was the Joe Rogan podcast, but he was just like, it's everything's set up too perfectly for there to not be a creator.
You can't just pop up with a fucking human, and not only a human, but a system for the human.
Yeah.
And not only for a system for the human, but an actual environment that the human can live in. There's so many little small details
even
and specs that make up just
oxygen, just breathing oxygen.
Yeah, like
what the
fuck, like
yeah. How'd you think of that?
Right. So it's just like, bro, like there has to be a creator. There has to be. It just has to be.
Sure. But
and maybe the creation, maybe everything the creator wanted us to know is just coming out of the creation itself.
But that just makes it.
Nah, it's weird in itself.
I guess
somebody said the brain named itself. I was like,
I guess it's why the I don't know.
Oh shit! That's a mind fuck. That's a mind. The brain named itself. Did you hear what he said?
It was actually Brian, but fucking.
but he's dyslexic.
They fucked it. They fucked it up.
The brain named itself.
And then it's just like Earth has existed for like billions of years.
Or so you say.
There's scientific fact. There's facts from the shit that you fucking
but
measure,
yeah, but like
shit that you like.
Sure. I mean, I don't know enough to question them, or I can question them, but I don't know.
I totally get that.
Yeah, you really don't know.
More than likely.
Yeah. It's been around for a while.
Honestly, if you ask my mom, life started when I was born.
That's true. So look, all I'm saying is like, I don't think God. I don't know, man. It's just crazy, man.
We don't know. And I remember my friend told me that. He goes, when you realize that like this world is like this big scary thing you know nothing about, it's really frightening until you get past that. Then it's really freeing because you realize you have no idea and you can't change it anyways. So
yeah. It's really a world of fuck around and find out.
What if the whole universe needs to be created for Earth to work?
Yeah, just for the one thing in the
just
whole
for
thing.
Just for that one planet to work.
And how egotistical of us to think.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got nothing to compare it to. We're like, fuck, we're the ones. If you look around on the block and you're like, man, I'm the one.
Ain't no fucking aliens.
Comparison is the thief of joy, dude.
I have no proof of aliens. There are no.
Well, it depends who you ask.
Depends who you ask.
Ain't no fucking.
Depends who you ask, man. There's a lot of. There's supposedly.
Somebody would have. So we would have all the years that we've existed. We'd have some kind of proof.
I mean, maybe they do, but they're just not putting it out there.
They ain't got no fucking proof, man.
I think there's CIA documents that you could like. You got to read through them, but you could see it. Extraterrestrial.
Nah, I don't believe it. I think UFOs are exactly what they are.
Right.
It's just these
but you said
objects that
you
trying to test out a drone.
You said you don't believe it, but that doesn't mean that it's not true.
But it believes in you.
It's a possibility that's
right.
true.
I think that's the thing that.
It's definitely a possibility.
I think that's the thing that I could relate on.
I'm not going to say that what I'm saying is a fact. I'm just saying
it's really people's ability to be like, yeah, maybe. I don't really know. You know, but some people are like, I can't live. I need an answer. And so the answer is whatever.
Some people go be a monk.
Some people are really just
saying, man, we got like technology that's just been like out in space floating and shit, just like looking for shit for the past like years.
Maybe.
So I was watching a couple of months, or it was either a couple or a few months ago, because they have I think it's the Space Odyssey or something, like where they have this camera like that's just been.
Oh yeah, they launched like forever ago,
and it's just been going. It's just going.
Yeah.
And somebody like pushed the wrong button, and now like they can't see shit on the camera. I'm like,
it was the fucking.
Imagine doing that. Like imagine like accidentally pushing the wrong button and like on the fucking space
on the Lifetime space camera.
Yo, like
it was the intern, bro. Holy fucking.
Well, shit. Shouldn't have me run the board.
Fucking crazy, man.
You spent 6 years in fucking college and you didn't turn the button on.
Yeah, but that's what I definitely. But that's why I definitely believe there's a creator, because it's just too. Like I said,
there's just too much going on, man.
It's too organized and just too put together. You know what I'm saying? Well, too well put together.
Yeah, and then there's so many people that don't believe that, and then you also have to coexist with them.
Yeah.
And people's morals and what they believe in is like, yeah, slowly changes, and one would say that that's, evil working or the devil at work.
Because when you're unevolved, you think of things like the afterlife, like heaven. You think of the places like that as like,
sure,
like after the struggle, you don't struggle no more. But then you evolve and you get information, and you like, damn, like struggle made the pleasure. You know what I'm saying? It made like you can't have pleasure without the pain. So it's like if that's the case, what the fuck? How the hell is heaven just some place where everything is perfect?
It was a fucking thing we put together to make sure that you guys listen to us, and if we said it with enough confidence, we would.
I think it was legit some people that were insecure about their afterlife, and they just create.
Yeah.
Sure.
We create things based on our insecurities. Sure. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why it's interesting looking at other religions,
like aliens.
No, like
nah, there's definitely aliens.
Eastern philosophy, the yin and the yang. You're like, that's no different. Or like Buddhism's like, it's all about this constant cycle of suffering, and you get to nirvana once you hit some sort of realization about it. And it's like they're more practice based. They're more practice based how you live, and then there's others that are focused on this is just a test, and hopefully I pass the test.
Yeah, like mentally.
And some people are like, I'm the chosen one. I don't have to follow the rules of the test. I'm already in because my dad works there. And
because as a kid, he thought heaven was like on top of the clouds.
Yeah.
Like you die and then you go to.
And you go up there.
Then you go to the top of the earth.
And then you just chill there.
You just chill on like clouds and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking Hercules or whatever. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know, man. I don't know if you turn into space matter. I don't know what the fuck you turn into, because I don't know if you come back to Earth.
Yeah. Because
I believe that Earth is just based on the sciences getting further and further away from the sun. And so like, because the universe is expanding.
Okay.
It's expanding at once. Like, it just expands. So like what they believe, like Mars used to be right, like we're in a sweet spot, they're saying.
So you're saying
like Mars used to be here at one point in time.
And like it wouldn't be a bad thing to colonize another planet. Colonizing now is a bad word, but if you do it to another planet, then you're like, yeah, we should definitely do that, dude.
Yo, if there is another planet and we find it, I just hope we don't find it.
We don't deserve it.
If there's another planet, if there's another, what I'm saying is, if there's another society of people somewhere, I hope we don't find it.
But what if you find
Because
out?
we're gonna fucking colonize the shit out of it.
What if we
And
just?
we're gonna be okay with it.
What if we
Think
just?
about how much money we can make off these people, man.
What if we just? What if we
They
just?
don't even know about what a dollar is, man. We could give them $1, tell them $1 is worth
You
something.
can go there and run it by just inventing Coca-Cola, bro.
Right, these people butt ass naked. You start giving them clothes and shit. Like, hey, yeah, you gotta wear these, and you gotta pay to wear them. Like,
And you need to work for me.
and you gotta work to get the money to
I'll
get
you
the
everything
clothes.
that you need. You
Right,
pay for-
like that.
bro. If we didn't, like, that's what it goes to the Bible. Like when you go to Adam and Eve, what did the serpent really tempt them with? What did the serpent tempt them with?
Forbidden. Breaking the rules. Breaking the rules.
No, he tempted them with knowledge.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
said,
yeah.
if
He
you
did.
eat of this fruit, you'll know everything God knows.
Exactly.
And he was like, no. Ah, fuck. He saw my search history.
No, see, so it's like, cause when they ate of it, God didn't say anything.
He had some things to say.
He
but
didn't say any. He didn't. When they ate of the fruit, he did not say anything
Yeah.
right then and there.
No.
Well,
He
yeah.
didn't say nothing until they started getting some clothes.
So they started doing all this other, like, oh, you
He
want to live like that?
He
Like-
started seeing them do shit. And he like, what the?
Whoa,
Who
whoa.
said you needed clothes? Wait, you know that you did. You done got some information that you, because knowledge is just.
Yeah.
I feel like knowledge is what killed. Because
The
once
thief
you
of
got
bliss.
knowledge, you got fear, and once you got fear, you got death. You know what I'm saying?
And
And if we never had knowledge in the first place, we'd probably be fucking eating and just
And now we need it more than ever.
just happy,
well, that's
not giving a fuck about nothing.
Yeah, you ever seen the
Not
it's
caring
like the
about
everyday person that
dying,
just
nothing.
doesn't care about
Bro,
anything?
stupid
Yo,
people-
I'm
stupid
like,
people.
I'm so envious of you.
Right, like it's just be fucking what you happy for, bro.
Yeah.
Just happy, man.
I'm happy.
Look at fucking rock, man. Look at fucking rock. Look at this
I
rock.
worked 50
man.
hours
Look at this
this
rock.
week, but no big deal.
Yeah,
We'll catch the
man.
football game though. Like,
Yeah,
damn.
religious people. The problem with religious people is they like to take science out of the equation, and you
oh
can't.
sure.
That's the problem. Like you gotta like maybe we did come from fucking monkeys. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
really strong possibility
I
that we came
mean-
from monkeys. But if we did, it's still under the scope and process of how he created. It goes
Yeah.
back to the fucking Bible, bro. That's why I love the Bible, because like when you really read the detail of it, like when God created the Garden of Eden, it didn't say he just poofed it.
Yeah.
It said he grew the Garden of Eden.
Would you say?
So that means
would
he
you,
actually
would you,
fucking watered it and was
Yeah.
like,
So would you say?
I gotta come back.
I'll check on you guys later.
God, this is God that did. God sat and wait for this fucking flower to fucking come out of the ground, like watered it and went through the process of it. So you don't think that this crazy ass fucking human body that we have didn't have a process?
But I would, yeah, dude, that'd be a great like motivational speech from a coach to somebody. Just like, you don't think God not waiting on you? He waiting on you to grow.
He waiting on you to grow.
He giving you all the tools and sunlight you need.
Yeah,
You're like,
man,
yeah,
pastors,
yeah.
they
Ends
know
up being
how
a
to-
Top Dog
They know how
commercial.
they know how to make shit out of
Have you
shit,
have you
man.
heard the Top Dog Law commercials?
No.
Oh my
Dude.
god, dude. So it's an injury attorney, but he uses like hip hop artists to do like his commercials and shit. They're getting out of hand, bro. I was listening to one. He's like, they say dog fighting illegal. Well, we got someone who begs to differ. Top dog gonna get you top dollar.
Yeah.
You want to change your life? You got in an accident,
Dude, it's so crazy.
bro. Like, and I'm like, where's this guy from? Of course, he's from Florida.
Yo.
Florida shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Yeah, man. Yeah, like. I don't.
But I was gonna ask you. You're talking about the
Knowledge
details
fucked
of the
us.
Bible. I was gonna say, is the devil in the details?
I feel like the devil is a reflection of us.
Yeah, what we
And then maybe that's what I mean. Like maybe we're always meant to evolve.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like maybe
Yeah.
we're always meant
That's
to.
the point of like humanity. Is just
That's
to
how
keep
we
going.
figured out language. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Motherfucker said,
Yeah. And then like, what do we put this all together?
nigga, what are you, what is, we gonna call that,
and then some,
right, you make the noise, hurt, every time
something hurt.
Something like bad happens, you know what I'm saying? So we gonna call that hurt.
But then some dude in a full out tailored suit pulls up in a car and it's like, you ever seen one of these? They're like, what? And boom, evolved. There's like those civilizations that still exist, right? Where they're like basically fucking cavemen.
Man, look, man, everything we've thought about, we've created. And still creating.
Well, I think
we just haven't done it yet.
One of the best.
If it's not created yet, we
we're figuring out how it works.
One of the best things is one of the religion classes I took. We brought in a new speaker every week. It's all different religions every week, and we had to basically sum up each religion in 1 to 2 sentences. And the Christianity one was accepting that we're all sinners, and Jesus died to save us, and that's why we're good. So if you accept Him, then you're good. And so that's why people be like, certain Catholic, like the traditional Catholic, the confession, like just feeling super guilty about everything you did. That's why they have that all set up.
But that's the thing. The same Bible also taught me that they see Jesus all wrong. Like Jesus wasn't here to save us from sin. He was here he came to save us from our own fucking mental condemnation.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when you read the Bible says that the law, which is the commandments from Moses, the law was designed to show you how sinful you were, but it was never designed to condemn you.
Sure.
So that's just simply God showing you, look, let me humble you because you feel like y'all just perfect, better than, and you know what I'm saying? Y'all feel like y'all just the shit. So let me actually show y'all.
Let me show you your search history,
how dirty you actually are. Yeah, let me show you. let me humble you. But it wasn't meant to condemn you. Like you do this and I love you, or you do this and you get into heaven. So that when you read the Bible, it's always God trying to get people to love people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Would you say it's the funny truth?
What?
That what you just said. God is always trying to get people to love each other.
Yeah.
That's the funny truth. But people don't like being called out for what they know is wrong.
Yeah.
Some people are a little bit more emotionally intelligent and can be like, yeah, you're right. But most of the time it turns into like, yeah, well, your fucking hairline sucks. And it's like, it just turns into that.
Yeah, man. And even
somebody got to go.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Somebody got to go.
The whole concept of heaven and hell has to come from some kind of superiority. Because to say that one person can make it to heaven and some other person can't means that you can earn your way or work your way into heaven. Yeah. And the Bible itself says that you can't do that. So, I've read that book so many times that I know that a lot of the way religion portrays the Bible and portrays God is completely wrong.
But could you say that that's just a general outlook for life? Like people are born with like, you're not shit, you ain't never gonna be shit. So just do this. Because they used to have religion, like the Calvinism, that was a big one, was like predetermination. So they're like, yeah, we're going, but you, doesn't matter what you do, you're predetermined, like you're not going to heaven. Yeah, well, we kind of want to, like, I don't know, man. Can people just, because at one point in time, I used to always feel like because I was like, wise at a young age and stuff like that, there was a point that I felt like I had a superiority. Sure, like I was elite, or like I'm special. Like I really believe God ordained me or made it a way for me to lead people and this, that, and the third. In reality, these are just things that I want to do personally, individually. Like God don't want me to be a fucking rapper. Like it's just something I like. Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? Like people be like, well, I pray for, people be praying for certain materials and houses and shit like that. And they be, thinking that, like, bro, you couldn't afford the house when you bought it. And now you want God to help you keep up with the house?
Sounds like a you problem.
That's a you problem. Because in reality, God ain't even start life off with clothes. He ain't even start you off with clothes.
Yeah.
Like what do you?
You don't know about your mortgage.
What do you think God thinks you need?
Yeah.
Because God don't anything other than what you're supposed to have is greed. If you want a house full of groceries, that's greed. You want a bigger house or another room, that's greed.
Facts.
It's all, these are things that you just, you know what I'm saying? It's okay, I guess, you know, to want a little something, but don't make it seem like, yo, I got to pray for these things.
So that's what
God wants me to have a better life. Well, what is a better life?
That's what
A better life is you simply being around people that love you, you having something to eat, you having a fucking a roof over your head. And you probably don't even need a roof over your head.
Probably not.
Because there was a point in time people didn't have roofs over their head. People didn't have clothes. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yo, like, do you really think God is about to make sure you got a wardrobe full of fucking clothes or, you know, all the things that you just, that you know, all of these things that you want are things that you want.
The only person that can do that is the devil, dude.
Yeah, the devil, man. The
devil get you. Devil put you in that Prada, dude.
Get you anything you want.
Yeah. The devil and God, they had this meeting like every week. And they go over all the people that, like,
I heard that God kicked him out.
We need to test him a little harder. We're going to give him cancer. We're going to give him fucking.
Well, like,
and that's when you get the people like, God gave me this sickness to humble me. Like, people find these they're looking for security
that's
for.
What it is. I mean, that's what it is. It's just to calm the masses.
Yeah.
And like.
Control.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with
I don't think it's to control because I think these people genuinely wrote what was written. I just think it was in the perception of what they knew in their time. You know what I'm saying? So if you felt like God blocked the sun, we know that now as an eclipse.
Yeah.
Or like it didn't rain.
That story is so funny.
It didn't rain for like 6 months. Well,
Bro.
Maybe like it was like a really long summer, you know what I'm saying? And you didn't call it summer, or maybe you just happen to be in a part of the fucking globe where like the Earth is doing what it's doing. It's just so many. I just feel like it's what. Like, oh, the devil was looking at me in my eye like, oh, he had autism. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just happen to see somebody with autism or a mental problem, like, and you called them the devil. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it was just their perception at the time, but I feel like there's nothing you can say about the principles of that.
Sure.
Like, give and you shall receive.
Yeah.
Or like, you know what I'm saying?
There's good principles in there. It's like, that's the thing.
Ain't no just good.
Yeah.
And none of them.
This ain't no just good principle. These are principles of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
But none of them are fun to follow. That's the problem.
What do you mean?
They're not fun to follow, dude. Or else everyone would follow them.
Giving you shall receive.
Yeah, fuck that.
That's fuck that because of the society.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
American values.
That's what I'm saying.
Program.
Yeah, nothing is.
But I'm saying for what it is, and if it was if there was a system set up where everybody was giving each other shit. Nobody would have.
That's what the capitalism is, and then it turns into communist because the guy who likes to bake figures out that he likes to bake, and he's a baker, and that's a very good, useful skill to have in this community. He does the baking. Nobody else really wants to do it because they're doing what they want to do. So you have equally distributed time spent building your community, and people don't hate their job. They love what they do.
Capitalism is, like I said, is not what people think. Capitalism isn't simply you like you having a fucking clothes brand.
Well, would you say that it's
listen, you having a fucking clothes brand or a fucking like a clothes store or something.
God wanted me to have that.
Doesn't make you a capitalist.
Sure. Yeah.
You don't. That's not capital. You don't have where's your capital? Capital's gone. What capital can you
really
capitalize on?
Yeah.
Today. You know what I'm saying? Oil's gone. Rubber's like there are families that own like.
I think you've said it. Knowledge.
People think like Nike is wealthy. Nike's not wealthy.
Yeah, the person that like
owns rubber.
Yeah.
There's a family that owns rubber.
Or owns like a body of water.
Or owns cotton. Like there's motherfuckers, there's families that own
like
cotton.
Foundational.
You know what
things.
I'm saying? Like like they're like that's what I mean by like the capitalists.
Yeah.
Aren't the fucking CEOs of Nike wealthy or like these are still small.
It's the people you're never gonna hear about.
Like the
that run the world.
They're the 1% of the world.
They're the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's the 1% and then there's the.
So that's why when people be like, yeah, capitalism could work, it's like, no, you have a wrong idea of what capitalism is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but it's like you said about the Bible, right? Like there's the foundations of it, but then there's all these other perceptions of what it really is.
Okay, so when they created, when the wealthy created this system, because those were the ones who created America, were the wealthy. It was the wealthy people. When they created the country, they made sure they made a system that was beneficial to other wealthy people.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for that to happen, we have to make sure we create a labor system where people are, you know what I'm saying, are getting paid lower than the value of their labor.
Have you ever read the Willie Lynch letter?
The Willie... I don't know if that's true or not, if the Willie Lynch letter is true, because there's no real proof that letter was true.
But yeah, a lot of things out of it.
The latest copy that they have was made in like 1970s. Something like.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
But
so
I feel like
it sounded good. I read it.
Yeah. So
like, it sounded like
a lot of stuff.
It was pretty broken down.
It looked like a dude that's just a consultant. It's like, bro, you want to fucking build this plantation or not? You know, and don't care. I'm here. I'm getting paid for my speech, and I'm out of here. I'm back to England.
Yeah.
But it seemed a lot of the principles from that book is like you see it. I feel like in modern day, like tearing apart the mom and the dad and making the female basically raise the kids on a weak system. Can't rely on the male because he's not the strength. Because we watched him get tarred and feathered and torn apart with two legs. Could be a parable metaphor, but still, like, you see that so much now. Like, if you are a guy, in most cases, if you're not, the way the world is, it's not really set up like that anymore, but it still traditionally feels like in women's mind, like the guy's the provider, he needs to have this and needs to make the money, and if you're not shit. And then that's kind of what, and people will raise weak-minded kids because there's no, and they're relying on the master, the system, basically, that they never get to see. They never see that person, never interact with them. So there's just, and then the people running the plantation are the white people, but they're kind of slaves too. They're just, they live a little, they live with a little more privileges.
That's the Nike people.
Yeah.
That's the Nike people. Those are like the Nikes, the Gucci's, you know what I'm saying? The people who are really, really rich, those are the people that are making sure that the system continues. You know
they don't even know they're in the system either. They're just playing.
It just works for them.
You know what I'm saying? I just go along with however it works.
And then the person on the disadvantaged side of the system thinks that, man, if I just get to that spot, it's going to be better. It's going to be a better life. And you get a job in banking and you're like, fuck this.
That's how they do it, man.
Yeah.
They
You think a college degree is so valuable for what?
And that's my job. I'm trying to get people to understand that to get away from the religion fight, get away from the racism fight, get away from the whole black and white thing, like get away from that as much as possible, and understand that the problem is capitalism, the problem is oppression, the problem is you know what I'm saying, the system that we live in.
The problem is rich versus poor.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing all this extra stuff for what? Have you ever sat and thought about that? But that's the thing. Like you said, there's so many people.
It's the whole system. The whole system has to go, and all we've been doing is reforming. And all reforming is like the foundation is rotten as fuck. Like the whole building was built on a rotten foundation, and reforming is just like
we just keep
we're
building
gonna add
over
some windows, change the paint.
Sure. Eventually, it's falling.
Add a room.
It's falling down left
it's
and
gonna
right.
Completely. It's gonna the whole system.
You're saying
that's why we have a problem with our
Band-Aid fixes.
That's why we have a problem with our police system. Like where did police come from?
Well, they're not. I don't know the answer to that, but they're protecting a certain.
They're protecting property.
Yeah, exactly.
The police started when the slaves were running out of the plant, starting to run out of the plantations. And so they had to figure out some kind of system in order to keep them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To police them. So they created, you know what I'm saying? They created the police to protect the property.
Yeah, they're another gang.
Exactly. That's all the police are.
They're not there for your interest or my interest for protection.
The problem already happened when they got
You know
there.
what's
They didn't prevent it.
You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting is like I can't remember what I was watching, but like okay, when they're like okay, you're free, you're no longer slaves, but like where are you gonna work?
Yeah.
And then just like it never really stopped. It was just like okay, now you get paid a lot less money and to live your life, but you still have to go do shit 12 hours a day sometimes. And then they're like, okay, we'll reform to you have to be 16 and you can only work this many. Everything else is overtime. Like, but
meanwhile, there's other white people during that time that's getting just as screwed over.
Oh yeah,
they just don't look as bad as them.
Yeah, exactly.
But they getting just as screwed over. They're just being painted like y'all not the Negroes though.
Yeah, y'all not them though.
You're not them though.
Hey, don't worry, you're still gonna get to do
you
certain.
Still
things.
you getting fucked over too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there was always that sense of making it seem like y'all ain't slaves, but y'all slaves.
Well, that's a perfect thing to do. Get
slaves, but you're not slaves. Like
we call it something different now.
You're slaves, but you're not a Negro slave.
You're working class.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And who do you think really gave slaves more of a problem when they were set free? Poor white people.
Yeah, because they were. Yeah,
because the stigma was put in their head, like they're less than nothing, or all the articles that they read. You know what I'm saying? Because there were so many articles, there's so much propaganda that was printed in order to, because the rest of the world was like already like, yo, getting out of the slave business. In France, everybody was getting out of that, like, yo, and that's when they started making it sanctions.
But China was like, what's up?
We just getting started.
Like, bro,
they doubled down.
They was late to the party.
Yeah.
They was late. They was like, damn, why we didn't know about this shit?
This shit is easy.
And then, but like,
still slaving people in Africa to this day.
But like, if you look at it from the corporation standpoint, where there's no feelings, it's all be profitable or not. And
here's the worst part. They figured out how to make the slave himself.
Yes.
That's the part.
Okay,
you don't want to work? All right, you ain't gonna eat. You ain't gonna have no place to live. You might have to just come on over here, sell your labor for cheap.
I think one of the best parts of the Willie Lynch letter that was like mind blowing to me was, when they bring the people in to the plantations, starting with the newest, the babies, the younger generation, like break them of their language. How can you even communicate? Yo, this is bullshit. Well, if you don't know, this is bullshit.
And that's the part I don't understand, because a lot of the slaves that they had and captured, they were able to do that so well because a lot of the slaves were from so many different cultures and different languages and different ways.
So it's like prison.
It wasn't like they came in as like you my cousin, immigrants. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, they came in separated. So that's why I'm like, I don't know about that part, because they didn't know each other at all.
Right. So then even easier, break them of their languages. Like, how can you communicate with someone and be like, we got to do something about this if you can't even formulate the thought or the words to say that? And then you see someone who maybe rebels, but nobody else goes with them, and you're like, I don't want that to happen to me. Yeah. And then you're just like, I'm gonna just do this, and it's like fucking disgusting, but you're like, genius. Like, I never even thought about taking away people's ability to communicate with each other. But
I hate to say this, and then I love to say this at the same time, but black people need to let racism go specifically.
Sure.
Black people need to let racism go. They need to let this idea go that slavery was personal. They need to let this idea go that, like, you know, because a lot of black people have it in their minds that, you know, some white guy just came to Africa and started snatching up Africans.
It's an
It's
an easier way to think, because like if something's not going right for you, you could just be like, it's their fault. Instead of like we were saying earlier, like owning, like if they show you, hey, here's all what you did wrong, owning it and be like, okay, you're right, I fucked up, or having accountability. And like everyone goes through their own situation, but like having the thought process to be accountable, even you're like, I know it's bullshit, this is not fair.
Yeah,
because I think it's easy to do it. I don't subscribe to like the 100% motivational stuff that people say, because I'm like, no, there's a lot of unfair things that go on. Like how am I going to catch up to this guy? How are we going to get to this and not have to worry about this? Like, yes, but it's easier to sleep at night when you can be accountable. It's easier to live life blaming, but like that doesn't, nobody really is going to do anything for you when you do that. Like, but I think a lot of what politics will do is like, you've been wronged. That's the Democrat Party. Like, you've been wronged. We're going to do this for you.
Man, all of that whole, man, it's.
And it's funny, like the different types of racism that you see, because most people are in the middle, right? They're just always going to point out the extreme things. There's the liberal side of racism that's like one of the dumbest things to me coming from Oregon was that they were like, the governor was big on like, black people, they, you know, like needing an ID to vote is racist. Like, and like 75% of black people said, no, it's not. No, I get that. That makes sense. You should probably prove you're an American citizen, but like they're speaking on their behalf, like this is racist. And then this whole group of people is like, yeah, these people can't think for themselves. They're stupid. Yeah. And another side is like the way they will portray a racist, like a hillbilly, fucking, you know, that type of shit. But really, everyone's kind of just like, yo, can we just fucking worry about what's more important? Right. Like, because everyone's got their own individual problems. Like, it's not enough to worry about every race and make sure that they feel good. It's like, bro, I'm cool, but fuck, I gotta eat too.
Yeah, we gotta eat, man.
I gotta eat. Or if you have kids, if you have family,
eat,
like
you gotta
that's
live, man. You have the right to everything that allows you to be a human.
Yeah.
Breathe. A fucking shelter.
Yeah.
Food.
Yeah, we're just gonna slip in a little taxes for your protection.
The only thing I should be paying for food is my labor. I should be growing that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's the only like,
you know
like I shouldn't be. I shouldn't.
You know what I saw?
I shouldn't starve because there's no. A human being should not starve.
They shouldn't. It just doesn't make sense.
Oh, dude, like how restaurant, because capitalism, restaurant just throws away food at the end of the night, or things like that. One thing I was gonna say was like hilarious to me was it was a TikTok, but it was like something about the FDA was like starting to say like, hey, if you're growing a garden, even if it's in your backyard, like you have to report it. I was like, then it was like the meme of like, no, I don't think I will.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna report that. Yeah, like come on, man. Like that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the shit that that we're trying to maintain and pay and toil for are things that are we should have a human
basic already have access to that.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be like, oh, you have to pay a fee.
To pay for shelter. I shouldn't like all the fees and taxes should only be to help those that are struggling to keep up with whatever is going on. You know what I'm saying?
When usually that's if you see homeless people.
That's what taxes was started.
If you see homeless people, they're usually, because even if you're broke, like you can figure out a way to get somewhere to live. But like the homeless people that are homeless.
Homeless people only exist because wealthy people exist.
Well, but they're like usually mentally ill, and we used to have places for them. But you're like, fuck that. What if we could cut that tax and put it towards, you know, things that make us more money? They're like, fuck yeah, dude. You know, so I think you were talking about where it should go to the people who need it is like, well, people who aren't maybe in touch with the actual reality that's happening, then that's probably the people that are mentally ill, like yelling at traffic and stuff. And they used to have places for them.
But then why are they mentally ill? You know
some of it,
like a lot of the our poor decisions and our poor thinking is due to poor living.
Poor living. Yeah. Well, when
circumstances.
you're constantly in survival mode, that's where.
Yeah, man. You're raised by frustrated parenting. You know what I'm saying? You're raised by the American values. That's why I tell people all the time, like, you're not influenced by your parents. You're influenced by American values. You know what I'm saying? You're influenced by your country's values. You know what I'm saying? Who taught your mama or your dad to hustle? You know what I'm saying? And whatever society, you know what I'm saying, made them do, that's how they ended up being who they are. You know what I mean? So you're influenced by your country's values at the end of the day if you're not in a evolving position where you know you're programmed and now you're in a movement to deprogramming.
So I think social media has done a great job of bringing that. Like, everything's just so accessible. Or, you know, I've found, like, over my time, I'm just not asking the right questions. Because usually the information is out there.
Right, man.
You just haven't evolved to ask the question of, how do I do this? And then it's actually, here's a 10-page document that shows you how to do
all the revolutions that have happened in the world, we have never had this much access to information.
To each other, too.
And to each other. You know what I'm
we
saying?
know so much about each other.
Yeah. So if something, the word can get out. You know what I mean? And nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And that goes for wealthy people. So that mean, like, there's really big chances that these wealthy people screw up. Somebody in their family screw up. Somebody get caught doing some dumb shit, and you have to pull a Jeffrey Epstein and kill him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's things.
World's full of them.
There are too many good people looking for the bullshit.
Yeah.
Too many good journalists out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are too many people that are out there doing their job as a human being to make sure that justice is served.
Yeah, and so they don't end up being a name you know.
Yeah, so you can't give up. You can't give up hope and think just evil is just going to prevail at the end of the day. You gotta have hope in humanity, because it always happens. The masses always figures out how to come together.
Yeah. You just hope that you're alive for it,
and you just hope that you have the right education to create something, because you know what I'm saying, you end up in a situation where like fucking Haiti, you know what I'm saying? Like, Haiti had that revolution, but that revolution was led by a tyrant. You know what I'm saying? These people get into these positions at the right intention, but they never figured out themselves. So, like, let's say I got a greedy money problem, but I'm an activist. You know what I'm saying?
College kid.
And then all of a sudden I get this fame. I'm like this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then bam, some fucking accusation of me stealing money, because I never dealt with me being greedy, or I never dealt with me being abusive, or I never dealt with me being controlling, or I never dealt with these certain aspects.
Yeah, sure.
So when this fame blows me up, now I'm really not gonna deal with it, because it's just, and then it's gonna get into fucking up the revolution.
It's what you said of these record labels and things that will recruit somebody. They know that. They know he has unresolved trauma.
Oh yeah. They know on a scientific level.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like
how do you think prison cells are created?
Yeah.
You think they just make a guess? They just be like, how many cells you think we should
trial and error, no pun.
No,
error.
They literally make prison cells based on graduations and non-graduations of certain high schools and communities that you come from.
Yeah.
Like the breakdown, like statistically.
These motherfuckers already know.
Yeah, statistically,
they know, like,
they run that shit.
Man, they know, like, yo,
let me put this in my Excel spreadsheet.
We need to make another prison. We about to get about 500 more. We about to have a boom in 2000 and such because of such and such and this. They know things from a statistical standpoint. These motherfuckers get paid.
Yeah.
To get paid.
Right.
But we're at like an hour and 40, so let's land it here.
Yeah, let's land it.
Yeah. It was a little crazy conversation that we got into.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always happens like that with me.
I love that.
That's why I brought you on, because I was like, I've seen you. I was like, yeah, we'll talk about your music, but we'll probably end up going
crazy
full force into something
else.
Full retard, dude.
But at the end of the day, we know
horrible
nothing.
word to use.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we know nothing.
Yeah, all I know is I don't know. Anything that I always tell people, anything that I say, if it makes sense, go do your research on it.
Yeah. And
figure it out for yourself till it makes sense to you. And then maybe you come back and add something to what I had.
Where can people follow you at?
They can follow me on Instagram, but it's easy to just go to filamusic.com.
I know.
That's where you can kind of get all my social media, music, YouTube, everything.
It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, filamusic.com, Fela music.com. Bam! That's easy.
There we go.
Yep.
Appreciate you.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode with Fila Iniko. If you want to follow him on any social media, it is Fila Iniko, FELAINIKO, and it's also in the show notes. Check out his music at Fila Music. It's FELA music.com. Please remember to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and it'd be really helpful if you left us a review. Let us know what you want us to do to make the show better. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Funny Truth Podcast with Adam J.
That is the funny truth.